Just the other day, I was looking through and replying to comments on my videos when I came across a comment by one of my viewers that posed a question that I'm going to cover in two different parts. They asked, will the Plaguelands actually be a patrol zone again, or a dead destination like the Pale Heart and Kepler? The first part I wanted to discuss was what they had dubbed dead destinations. They basically described the change that Bungie made where patrol zones, specifically the most recent additions of the Pale Heart and Kepler, were empty. That's not to say they lack content or things to do, more so regarding the weird change Bungie made for some reason, where each of these locations came with no open matchmaking. In Destiny's past, a patrol zone often followed the same rules with every additional destination. Region made for any Guardian to roam a free and open world, whether it be to explore, fight enemies of humanity, or help out any Guardians they find out there in the wilds. Small patrol missions, destination bounties, public events, location-specific events, this formula remained unchanged for the longest time. In fact, it was this way from the very start of Destiny. That is until recently. When Bungie made the Pale Heart and Kepler, for some reason they removed the open and public matchmaking for the basic patrol free roam, meaning there was no one else you would run into out in the wilds. No groups of Guardians standing outside the Daily Law sector, if that's even a thing anymore. No random groups of Guardians taking on public events. It was just you and no one else but the NPCs, making these brand new destinations feel empty. And while I know Overthrow has matchmaking that's not patrol, that's just matchmaking meant for farming Overthrow in abundance. Since I am a Destiny boomer, some of the newer members of the Destiny community could just say it's change and I don't like changes, which is not accurate. Let me be clear when I say I like good change. I hate changing things that don't need to be changed. Since the beginning, an openly matchmade patrol zone was a foundation of Destiny. It maybe wasn't the thing that made people interested in new DLC, but it's something you only notice you miss when it's gone. Now, in terms of a fix, while it's simple on paper, I would just say, open up the matchmaking again. Full honesty, I have no idea why Bungie decided to make these changes to Patrol that isn't just making less work for Bungie in terms of maintenance and upkeep. And while I'm all for simplifying things and making the workplace more efficient, Bungie, this would indeed not be the way. Speaking of things Bungie should do, the second topic I wanted to discuss today was how the Plaguelands should return into Destiny 2. Once again, due to the Destiny boomer status, my standards for this might seem high, but it's crazy to say it should be equal to, if not better than it was in Destiny 1 Rise of Iron, which is to say it should include an open matchmaking patrol zone, the Archon's Forge Arena, and the Wretched Eye Strike, then whatever new thing Bungie is planning for Ash and Iron, which so far seems to be another Nether-like activity dubbed Reclaim, and an exotic mission, although so far it seems that this exotic mission is unconfirmed for the Plaguelands. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of speculation at hand. Now, in a perfect world, we would also see the return of Siva Splicer Fallen. However, that seems to be reaching, since Ash and Iron is a free update and returning the last remaining faction from Destiny 1 would be a lot of work for a free update. However, Bungie would certainly impress me if they do go this route and restore Devil Splicers to the current continuity. Now, the Archon's Forge. While I would love to see it return in its base version, open and patrol zones, I'd have a feeling that Bungie would reduce this to a matchmade activity, which wouldn't be the worst thing. Sadly, this is an element of the Plaguelands I can see being cut in the Plaguelands transplant for Destiny 2 in the end of the day. In terms of returning the Wretched Eye Strike, even if Siva itself is absent from the new version of the Plaguelands, most of the Wretched Eye could feasibly be done in Destiny 2. After all, the Siva nodes you break to progress through the missile silos could be substituted for something else. Siva turrets were a fairly small part and frankly self-reviving guns, probably not a balanced thing to keep in the modern day. Basic Hive were also present, so that is something I can see easily make the jump to D2. Plus, the final boss was just a fallen captain with a Scorch Cannon that acted more like an Ogre's Eye Blast, so with some creative modeling, updated teleporting visuals since Kovic teleported with a Siva effect, and making another seemingly blind Ogre with melee only could be a way to get the first new strike in Destiny, since liminality was added with the final shape. I know the Sunless Cell was remade after that, but it was so randomly low impact in its return I barely remembered it until after I edited the first draft. Touching up on the elephant in the room regarding the Plaguelands, Wrath of the Machine. Again, for the veterans of Destiny, it seems like an obvious choice. Wrath should return with the Plaguelands. The problem lies with Bungie though. If Siva doesn't return, there can't be the true Wrath of the Machine reprisal. With only one raid a year, supposedly, Desert Perpetual was the one for this year, so again, no Wrath. With Bungie having new stuff to focus on, Wrath the Machine is not on the list of priorities, so as much as Wrath the Machine should be reprised soon, it's not looking likely. In reality, what is more likely that Bungie is going to do with the Plaguelands? Well, the same thing they did with the Dreadnought, which is to say have the destination only available in the seasonal activity of Reclaim and possibly the exotic mission. No patrol zone, and a decent portion of the region blocked off never to be seen again. Unfortunately, if Bungie does with the Plaguelands just like they did with the Dreadnought and reduced it to seasonal content, the Plaguelands in this state would be on borrowed time, because if it's seasonal content then before too long, the year is going to rotate and, c'est la vie, the Plaguelands exist only in Destiny 1 again, which frankly would be a big mistake. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subbing to my channel, as supposedly that helps the algorithm recognize this video actually exists and, puts it out there. If you enjoyed this topic, let me know others you'd want me to discuss, as well as your thoughts on how Bungie should restore the Plaguelands and revive these dead destinations. And on that note, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.